To what America is officially calling a Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russian troops spreading out throughout the strategic Crimean peninsula. President Obama speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin, apparently pulling no punches, although it is unclear what the White House can really do about all of this. So let's go straight to ABC's Alex Marquardt, who's on the ground in Crimea. Alex, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. The pressure from Russia is growing. Large groups of pro-Russia troops surrounding Ukrainian bases, ordering their forces off of them so they can occupy them. The international warning to Russia to end its invasion is being ignored. This morning, more unidentified pro-Russia armed militias controlling the streets of Crimea's capital. These troops are standing guard just a few hundred feet away from a Ukrainian naval base. They have twice asked the base command to surrender. So far, they have refused. This is a Russian invasion, the U.S. says. It has no doubt these are Russian forces and has demanded their immediate withdrawal.
The Russian military must stand down. The aspirations of the Ukrainian people must be respected, and political dialogue must be allowed to continue.
Putin told Obama that Russia has the right to defend its interests and people in Ukraine. Russia! We've seen it for ourselves. This column of armored personnel carriers roaming the roads here in Ukraine's Crimea, where most people are Russian, while these shadowy pro-Russian forces here violently took over government facilities. It has fueled civilian unrest across eastern Ukraine. In one city, pro-Russia demonstrators rampaged through City Hall and brutally beat those who oppose them. There is a growing international chorus slamming Russia's actions. The British Prime Minister saying there is no excuse. Canada withdrawing its ambassador from Moscow. But many here are hoping Russia will go further. You want the Russian army to come here?
It's our family. It's not Russian army. It's our family. They protect us.
The Ukrainian military is now at its highest alert level. Just a short while ago, they announced that they are pulling up reservists. The United States, as we speak, taking part in an emergency NATO meeting to decide how to respond. Dan, Diana?
It's really unclear what the Ukrainian government can do or what the U.S. government can do. So let's talk about all of this with ABC's George Stephanopoulos, who will be hosting this week later this morning. George, good morning.
Good morning.
The president has said publicly that there will be costs if the Russians invade. Now they have. What kind of costs can we impose on them?
Hard to figure out exactly what those would be. What the president has said already is the United States will stop planning for this G8 summit, which is supposed to be in Sochi, where the Olympics were just a few weeks ago. That's supposed to come up in June. So the United States could refuse to participate in that. They could also move beyond that, pull our ambassador or more of our delegation out. We don't have a full-time ambassador there right now. And then the big question is, are we willing to go farther, try to impose financial sanctions on Russia? One thing that seems pretty clear right now, no military action on the table at all. Back in when Vladimir Putin went into Georgia several years ago, President Bush did move warships into the region, did send humanitarian aid by military transport. That's about the most the United States could expect to do.
In the meantime, Putin just spent $50 billion trying to paint a new image for Russia. Does this just throw that out the door? And does he even care?
Well, I think that's the big question. Does he care right now? He sees Crimea as an important part, perhaps of the Russian Empire. It was part of Russia until 1954. He doesn't seem moved to stand down right now. I think the big question is he going to expand more broadly into the rest of Ukraine? That is a real red line that could provoke a more serious reaction from the West.
So many questions. I want to switch gears to a decidedly lighter note. Pull back the curtain on the multi-layered, many-splendored life of George
Jack of all trades.
After talking geopolitics on this week, you're actually going to head out to L.A. to the Oscars.
And going to the Oscars. Looking forward to it. It's always such a great night. Looking forward to being out there with Robin and Lara and Josh. And we're going to have a couple fun pieces also on This Week this morning as well. We're talking to Ben Affleck about his passion project in the Congo, but also Lara Spencer sat down with ESPN stat guru Nate Silver, and they have cracked the code. They have figured out what it takes to be a Best Picture. You can find out what it is on This Week.
Nate moving on from sports to politics to now
exactly.
Hollywood.
Kind of like George.
Exactly. It's following in your footsteps. Thanks, George. Have a great time out
Thank
there.
You.
And as a reminder, This Week airs later this morning right here on ABC. George will crunch the numbers of the Oscars, as we just said, and of course have the latest news and analysis on the crisis in Ukraine.